lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just hold on me. Just hold on me. Just hold on me. Just hold on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold on me. Just hold on me. Just hold on me. Just hold on me.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
After about a month away, it is time for a return. The Svenska eRacinligan NASCAR Cup Series season returns here at the newest Superspeedway on the block, the Atlanta Motor Speedway, for tonight's Do You Even Draft by Superior. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, it's been a while since we've done one of these together. It's been a while since we've seen the Svenska eRacinligan in action. They've had a couple of schedule mix-ups and mishaps over the course of the little month off that we've had here that we'll get into a little bit later. But just happy to be back. Happy to be back in Atlanta.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't think of a better place to return, start the new year off with a bang as we wrap up the first half of this season. You know, this track, everybody was looking forward to this race, especially considering that it's a mile and a half that races like a big. As go ahead.
Your mic had cut out there, so it's just I didn't know if
sorry.
No, it's all good.
I'm sorry. Let me move my mic a little bit closer. No, everybody was looking forward to this race, considering that this track races like a much bigger thing. You're going to see a lot of pack racing, similar to what you would see at a Daytona, Talladega, Michigan Auto Club. But the new surface here with these independent suspension. We saw it in the real world when they came to Atlanta here. You really have to know how to use the air coming off the car you, or else you're screwed tonight. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. As we'll take a look at the points championship and the team championship once we get into the qualifying session. But a couple of notes that we need to clean up from Bristol about a month ago. The winner and the sixth place finishers, of course, we're talking about Eric Blixt, who had won the race, and also Michael Hefledison. Those two led the bulk of the laps a month ago at Bristol. Those two were excluded from the race. Now, the rationale behind that was that there is a little bit of an exploit, especially at Bristol in these Cup cars, that if you ride
dirt, it's all the dirt cars. It's not just the Cup cars at Bristol. It's all cars on dirt. You can exploit this amazingly.
Well, the exploit would be that if you ride the wall and if you lean on the wall, you get your little bit better handling, you get a little bit more speed through the corner. Well, it was determined by the series admins that while most people were doing it, Blixt and Hefledison used it about as liberally as you could. So they had been excluded from the race results of the last race at Bristol. So those two, after finishing first and sixth, end up coming home in 34th and 35th with no points on their record coming out of that last race. So right now we have a lot of drivers out on the track right now to take the qualifying session. The first one we're going to pop up to is the number 19 of Pontus Nilsson.
Just back with the series. I took the Bristol race off, so good to see him there. As this is going to be a slugfest like it always is. You've got the Forza Esports guys, you've got the Superior guys wanting to win their own race. So it's going to be an old-fashioned grudge night shootout. Saturday night special as we call them on the dirt side.
Pontus Nilsson on pole right now with a 32.21, fastest of all. Robert Eriksson in one of these Superior cars here tonight takes that position. Now it's taken by Martin Liesnich in the 0116.
It's time for coming in hot and heavy right now as another Superior car goes to the top of the pile with Michael Hefledison.
Alcantech?
Oh, no, that's Alcantech. I'm sorry. I had the wrong car up. I mean, these times are just cranking right now as Pontus Nilsson goes back to the ball in the second lap. Actually does improve. Philip Harling. Wow.
Dennis Scherp, Vilda Whale, and Anton Ehrman. Boy, the Superior guys came to play here in their race. As Anton Ehrman right now sitting on pole, Vilda Whalen second. There is Dennis Scherp. After qualifying third. Peter Helmbro crossing the line now. Helmbro was 27th quickest after his first lap. He'll jump up to 8th. As Jonas Gunnarsson will be one of the next to cross the line. 29th as it sits right now. And Gunnarsson will go up to P2.
That's a solid lap right there.
Linus Broström fastest of all the first half of the lap. See what he gets here. And it will be pole for the 71 of Linus Broström, a 31.72.
And I noticed that Linus and his guys and gals were doing a lot of drafting. They were doing, something you would see at like Talladega or Daytona with the bumper-to-bumper style drafting to see, how many cars are needed to make something happen. The magic number looked like it was 4.
Andre Solander up to P6 on his qualifying attempt. Here's one of the 2 drivers that have not attempted a qualifying attempt thus far. Alexander Eriksson was the fastest of all in the practice session, of course, with draft. Johan Larsson, the only other driver that has not attempted a qualifying run.
So 37 haulers in the infield here tonight. And, Frank, it's something I'm enjoying more about the side of things than I was about the GT side of things. The Cup drivers are taking a little more liberty with their team paints. Yes, you still have the superior guys that are the superior paint, but especially with the Forza Esports guys, they're taking some liberty, making it look distinguishable. As far as okay, I know Gunnarsson with the gold numbers. I know Linus Brostrom's running the black car. And it makes it easier for us up in the booth to be able to determine just at a moment's glance as opposed to making sure we have to see the number to figure out which 2 superior cars are beating on somebody and trying to win their race tonight.
Your mic is having a bit of a fit there as we as we end the qualifying session. Johan Larsson, the only driver that did not attempt a qualifying run. So now we will send the bottom 17 out here for the sprint race here tonight to determine who will start 21st through 37th. Marcus Stiller with a time of 31.787 was not good enough to get into the top 20. However, he was good enough to start on the pole here for the sprint race. Philip Broberg will line up right next to him. Pontus Nilsson and Eric Blixt will make up row number 2 with Michael Heflidesen and Kenneth Tier in row number 3. Bjorn Brostrom and Kim Nyholm make up row number 4 with Oscar Fredriksson and Robert Eriksson in row 5. Row 6 goes to Marcus Stromberg and Michael Hagstrom. Row 7 will see Jonas Forss and Jacob Larsson. Martin Liesnich and Tony Oivonen will make up row number 8. And Johan Larsson, the only driver to not take a qualifying time, will start in P17, the lone car, on row number 9. So, Tony?
17 cars scheduled to roll it here. 10 laps of scheduled distance. No fast repairs as always. 17X, you get a penalty. Anything over 25, you get to go to your favorite ice cream store.
So as we get set to roll off here for the sprint race here tonight, we'll take a look at those point standings here really quick because, again, while we have the time, we may as well. Jonas Gunnarsson currently holding a 1-point lead over Jesper Eriksson. Gunnarsson and Eriksson both had good runs. Eriksson getting the win after Blixt was excluded from the race. Linus Brostrom just 7 points adrift of Jonas Gunnarsson, so still a very, very close battle up at the top of the point standings.
It is at that, and that's something we expect to see out of these guys because you take a look at the talent, first to last in these fields. You have some of the most qualified iRacing drivers flying on a weekly basis in this league. As the field starts to roll behind the Chevy Silverado pace for iRacing, Frank, I'm excited to get this one going. It's kickoff of the year.
Yep, absolutely. First race of 2023 for the Svenska eRacinligan, and it will be the short version of the races here tonight as we got a big, big race. 160 laps at what is going to be a very, very fast Atlanta Motor Speedway here tonight. Team Superior sponsored race. Team Superior car on pole here for the sprint, and also one starting on the front row for the overall race here tonight. So Superior came to play in their home race. Philip Broberg on the outside of Marcus Stiller for this opening round. Tony, get us going.
We're just laying onto the turn 4 complex. I've been waiting all year to say this so far. It's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some barbecue because it's time to get it on in the dirty South. Race fans, it's showtime!
Good start for Marcus Stiller, gets out ahead. Not a lot of drafting help, though, on that bottom line. You see the 19 of Pontus Nilsson, the 81 of Michael Haflidason starting to work their way forward, but it's the outside line who had the closest start, and it's the outside line that will take advantage. Philip Broberg to the front.
Broberg wanting to get up there quickly, as the outside lane is where you're going to want to be here, at least in the early going on fresh tires, because you can carry so much more speed on that second lane. You're not bogging the car down, as they did redo the banking here when they repaved it, and you can see right now the 75 on on that outside.
I believe it might be the 58 of Kim Nyholm that you saw there. Jacob Larson we saw get into the wall coming through turns 3 and 4, right around there last time around. That's something that all of these guys are going to have to fight here tonight, as Eric Blixt now gets to the front on that outside line. Tony, as you mentioned, Kenneth Tier giving the push.
Tier and Blixt were working together during the hot lap session to make sure that they could push if they needed to, and it just so happens they found each other here in the sprint race. And now they go door to door going into 3.
Sliding up, everyone keeping well enough away. Tony Oivonen is about 5 seconds off the back of this lead pack. So just trying to get out, trying to get away from this pack to survive this sprint race.
3 wide.
Yep, Blixt still pushing, still getting pushed, by Michael Haflidason, as it's a big mix-up in the middle there, as that's Nyholm in the 58 on the outside, Larson in the middle, and the 78 of Jonas Forss on the inside.
Forss wanting to get into that feature event, as I'm looking at this, and it looks like only 20 are going to make the call for the feature.
17 in it. Oh, big loose condition for the 61 of Michael Hagstrom. Keeps it straight somehow. A great job by the number 61 to keep that car under him.
I don't know how he saved that sideways coming off a 2. That was some driving in there. And that's going to open the door for Bjorn Brostrom to get to his inside coming to the dog leg. And Frank, you mentioned something to me during the just before we went on the air, that the apron is all out of bounds unless the white flag hang onto her.
Jonas Forss bouncing off of both Kenneth Tier and the 35 of Robert Eriksson, going 3 wide through turn 1. Everything getting quite close here. Top 3 have broken away by about a half a second. After that, it's Kenneth Tier running in 4th, holding this group behind him.
Grief. I mean, this thing is just a straight-out slugfest right now. And I'll tell you right now, Frank, I would not want to be in this heat race.
It might be some very good practices. There goes Pontus Nilsson up to the outside, picking up Jonas Forss. Trying to work that outside line before the 19 gets into the wall. Nilsson, that's the name I was looking for.
Yeah, he overcooked it. Oh!
It's the 49 of Kenneth Tier going to the back.
He was all sorts of sideways coming off a 4 and had to collect it, so... that could have gotten ugly.
As Tony was saying, the apron, the red and white line, just like at Daytona and Talladega, is out of bounds. However, coming off of turn 4 on the final lap, anything that has asphalt is fair game, as Eric Blixt comes down with 2 laps to go to try to take this heat race.
And with the way these guys have been driving all season, I'm expecting 4 wide at the turn flag.
Yeah, I would expect it as well. As Haflidason not really putting too much pressure on that number 95. Again, they are Alcantech teammates. As there goes the 71. Oh, the 117. There's my dyslexia showing early this year.
Six of the world untie.
So it's 2 Alcantech cars versus 1 Bright Esports car and 1 Force car coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Eric Blixt getting a nice shove from the 81 of Michael Haflidason. They look to lock down row number 11. The question is, who's going to win it? Coming to the line by inches, it's going to be Michael Haflidason taking the sprint.
They're going to have to review that one because Jonas Fords had 2 tires over that red line going down the back straight. He's kind of forced down there, but definitely something that's going to need to be looked at.
The 2 guys that ended up getting excluded from the last race are the 2 guys that win the sprint here tonight. As we'll take a look now at the final starting grid for tonight's race. Starting on the pole will be the number 71 of Linus Broström with a time of a 31.716. Anton Ehrman, the highest qualifying superior car, 8/1000 of a second shy on row number 1. Jonas Gunnarsson and Vilda Whalen will make up row number 2, with Jonas Skoglund and Andre Solander in row number 3. Dennis Scherp and Jochen Wett in row number 4. Daniel Sollo and Daniel Blomqvist in row number 5. Alexander Arilson and Daniel Holmer will make up row number 6, with Robert Erling, Emily Fagrel in row number 7. Connie Lundell and Peter Helmbro make up row number 8.
Anton Bratberg and Philip Carlson going to roll it from row number 9. Row 10 is going to be the guy I call the world's fastest Swede, but he's going to have to prove that tonight, starting deep in the field in 19th. That's the 12 of Marcus Hagman. He is... The hell just happened to my timing and scoring?
Eric Lundberg will round up row number 10 with him. Michael Haflidason and Eric Blixt will start together in row number 11. Philip Broberg and Jonas Forss in row number 12. Row 13 goes to Marcus Stiller and Robert Eriksson. Michael Hagstrom and Jacob Larson in row number 14. Row 15 goes to Johan Larson and Martin Liesnich. Marcus Stromberg and Kim Nyholm will make up row 16. Row 17 goes to Bjorn Broström and Oscar Fredriksson. Kenneth Tier and Tony Oivonen will round out the field here tonight. Weather conditions for tonight's main race: just past 4:30 in sim time, 32-degree ambient temperature, 47-degree track temperature. Winds are blowing at 17K. It is going to be a hot and blustery day here on this Atlanta Motor Speedway. Something that you're going to be quite tentative about with how narrow this racetrack is, Tony, and how close everyone's going to be running.
It absolutely is. As Linus Broström's going to have the button as the field works its way out of the turn 4 complex. I get to say it again with you, Frank. It's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab an ice-cold Coke because it's time to get it on in hot Atlanta. Race fans, it's showtime!
Jonas Gunnarsson very, very close to that back bumper of the 71. Inside line getting a lot better start as Anton Ehrman not quite getting the push from the 29 and the 41 like the outside line did for the sprint.
That's kind of surprising because, I mean, and I can understand it because Vilda Whalen doesn't want to cause an accident. She might not be as comfortable pushing as she is being pushed. But right now, the 33 of Gunnarsson locked to the back bumper of Linus Broström, your pole setter.
101 of Jochen Ware on that outside line, getting into that wall in turn 3. A quick little bounce off of that outside wall. Keeping it straight other than that. There's Vilda Whalen on the outside in that number 29. A couple of Team Superior cars up here at the front. The 42 of Ehrman and the 48 of Dennis Scherp.
Scherp on the low side trying to make something happen. He's not getting any air to the front of that Camry right now, and that's really got to be costing him some time in the corners. You know, with as big as that gaggle is in front of him, Whalen continues to slide back a little bit. As I believe that's Andre, yes it is, Andre Salinger up there with her for company. But completely different from what we saw in the sprint race, Frank, is Everybody trying to get to the low side for some reason.
Phil DeWhalen trying to break up those two team superior cars and does successfully. Got a couple of groups here. The top 12 right now, backed up by Connie Lundell, have broken away to about 3/4 of a second over Anton Bradberg and Marcus Stiller. Those two are about a second and a half ahead of Philip Carlin, who is holding up a lot of the drivers that was in the sprint race and have about 10 laps more experience on this racetrack than everyone else around him.
You got to wonder how patient those guys are going to be and for how long. You know, with Carlson, I don't think he's holding them up on purpose. It's just he doesn't have the speed here tonight for some reason.
Now, a couple of things to report. Michael Haflidason, after starting in 21st, after winning the sprint race, has found himself back in the 35th position right now. Must be an intended strategy. Robert Erling as well, finding himself in 36th. Philip Broberg has come down pit road and has actually spun, bringing out caution number 1 of the night.
It's definitely no bueno.
He was just coming off of pit road. As we'll see what happened with Broberg here. Lets the field go by and then see where that car got sideways is where the old banking was, where the old bottom line was, and the old apron where those two met is where he ended up spinning.
A little too aggressive on the loud pedal is what happened there, and you know, cold tires, as he spent a lot of time on pit road there. Haflidason and Erling also spent quite a bit of time on pit road to try to get those cars fixed. And same goes for the 12, Hagman. Something happened earlier that we missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try to see. Try to see what happened here. Oh, I think, you know what? No. Haflidason, Hagman, and Erling, they all started on pit lane. So they did not grid up with the rest of the field.
Okay, that would explain the weird timing and scoring anomaly.
Why those guys were at the back.
That's what happened with my timing and scoring. I go to start reading names and all of a sudden they just disappeared. So, Linus Brostrom in command of this one, as pit lane should be open this time by. Now, one thing we didn't cover is we've got an 85% fuel fill and only 5 total sets of tires to get him through all 160 laps here tonight. I mean, we're only working lap 7, so, I mean, if you're 10th or worse, I would come down just to get fuel and see what happens from there.
Might be the strategy for some of these guys. A bunch have come into pit. Alexander Arilson, the first of the drivers that did come into pit under this caution flag. Fuel only stops for everyone 25th on back. Everyone else has decided to stay out and run the fuel as much as they can.
As you do.
So to be,
you know, if you're that far back, you've got really nothing to lose. And if this stays green for a while, you can work your way up and hope for a caution, you know, a repeat of what we just saw with Philip Bradberg coming off the pit road. Somebody could gas it a little too hard, and around she goes, and next thing you know, you've trapped half the field a lap down.
As you do sometimes here.
Be my strategy. What the hell, yeah?
Well, this is a first here for this series, not just coming to the new Atlanta Motor Speedway, but coming to Atlanta, period. Not something that the Svenska eRacinligan has done yet.
Welcome to Atlanta, folks. Enjoy a nice cold Coke.
Yep, so somebody looking to take away the first ever trophy from Hampton, Georgia. As this will be the end of the first half of the season. 9 races down, and after today, 9 races to go here for the Cup side.
And I've seen the trophy for tonight's race, and it's kind of cool looking. It's a gold-plated 3-liter Coke bottle.
There you go.
And for those of you wondering why I'm saying this, Atlanta, Georgia is the home of the Coca-Cola Corporation. Their main offices, as a matter of fact, it was invented in Atlanta. And they need to bring back the actual original formula.
Oh, you mean the good one? Okay.
Yeah, the good one that we can no longer get thanks to the EA.
As Linus Broström breaks away, Jonas Gunnarsson and Jonas Skoglund side by side. Skoglund, though, with absolutely no help behind him. Whalen starting to come up to the back end of the 83 to the outside line. Yep, caution is out. It's like Michael Hagstrom in the 61 went around.
Oh, he had help.
I would have to imagine so. Saw the damage on the right front of that 61.
Well, you'll see what happens to cause that, but he definitely had help.
Take a look from, there's 61. Outside line, right behind the, well, right to the outside of the 22 there. Comes a little bit clearer into focus now. It's Philip Carlin to his inside. Oh, no, turned down right across the front of the 95.
He did. And then Emily Figueroa, nowhere to go, just blasted him in the right front of the tire.
Didn't look to be too bad a hit for either car.
Well, there's definitely front end damage on the 61.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Figueroa, she may have gotten away with one because I'm not seeing hardly any mark on the guy at 4.
Look at the left front of the 4. Jump on board, actually.
Yeah, just a little bit of a crinkle.
Yeah, you can see.
It's not bad.
See the cowl flap on the right and the cowl flap on the left, and those two are not similar to each other.
Looks like she's coming in just to have the team take the baseball bat to the fender like we always do to make sure it's not going to rub the tire. I mean, you got to love redneck engineering. You know, you shove a baseball bat in there and have the car pull.
May as well.
As, you know, the bat rests on the tire and it just pulls that fender right out and you're good to go usually.
Baseball bat or a hammer does pretty much the same thing.
Well, hammer is to knock it back in. The baseball bat is to pull it out and make sure it stays around.
It's the 117 of Philip Broberg getting one of his several laps back. Only driver not on the lead lap is that 117 of Broberg. Working caution number 2 here on lap 11.
Thank you all so much for making us a part of your evening. If you haven't done so already, give this video a thumbs up. It really does help share these videos with the Twitchverse and the YouTubeverse. The more thumbs up a video gets, the more likely it is to be suggested to someone when they log into their account. And you know, don't forget to subscribe and turn on bell notifications if you're on the YouTube side of things, because you don't want to miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Tony Trapasso. And we got to thank everybody for joining us right now. As I'm checking in the YouTube chat, Jason Sauford checking in. Shame to not be up in the booth. Very hot track. Yes, Jason, it is a very, very hot track.
As Tony gets all of the company shilling out of the way.
Hey, you know, I gotta earn my paycheck somehow.
Exactly right. As Linus Broström looking to lead away again. One group that we do need to thank definitely is the Team Superior group.
Yes.
A lot of drivers on track right now running those Team Superior cars, and we thank you very much for sponsoring tonight's race, as well as we did do a bit of disservice at Michigan as well. They sponsored the race at Michigan as well, and I believe they're going to be sponsoring the race at Pocono. I believe that's the last one for the season for them.
Correct.
So thank you very much for believing in this series as much as you do to help put these broadcasts on.
And I'm going to put a petition out there to name the Pocono race the Turn 4 Nationals.
There you go. As Brostrom and Gunnarsson getting set to go racing once again. Green flag back in the air. Another very good start for Linus Brostrom. Meanwhile, Skoglund once again stuck with no help on that inside line.
Well, he's door to door with that Volvo Gunnarsson, and Gunnarsson, if he was smart, would drop down. But here comes the 42 to Anton Erman, making it happen on the top side. He's got a team superior car right behind him, so look for that top line. That's exactly what we're talking about we're seeing during the practice session. If you can get 4 cars hooked up, you're going to the front.
To be fair to the 83 of Skoglund, Gunnarsson didn't really have a lot either. A lot of help on that restart as Gunnarsson getting pushed to the lead by Anton Erman. Everyone even now up at the front here, at least in the first 4 cars.
64 of Marcus Stromberg just ate the front stretch wall under the flag stand, and he just hemorrhaged spots as he continues to backslide through his field.
There's the 64 of Stromberg, the Bright Esport Overpower cars. You can see him wiggling that car, trying to figure out what damage he did, and that's another casualty of this racetrack being narrowed up, is that front straightaway has been narrowed up as well, making those dog legs a lot tighter than they used to be.
It really is. I mean, you used to be able to dip 2 tires in the grass and not have to worry about it. Now, the way that they reconfigured this track, forget it. You put 2 tires under that red line, and the only thing you can do is say a Hail Mary and Jesus take the wheel.
We're going to be seeing how many people say that towards the end of the race, I'm sure, as Gunnarsson leading that lap thanks to the push from Anton Erman.
And that's the only complaint I've got about the Gen 6 Cup car and the next Gen Cup car is the digital dash. We cannot see what the water and oil temperatures are looking like in these cars. So, you know, with the Xfinity car or the truck, we can look at the... Oh, boy.
Caution is out. As would be that oh, boy.
A couple of Team Superior cars. The 58 of Nyland.
Marcus.
The 59 of Larson in there as well.
Like Connie Lundell in there as well. We'll take a look at what happened. Yep, too much of a push. That's the good thing. Well, there's a good thing and a bad thing about having a bunch of your teammates together, especially on a super speedway. And wow, Nyholm took a huge shot, or gave a huge shot, I should say, to Connie Lundell.
Absolutely nowhere to go with the car on its outside. So, I mean, that was just... You could feel it coming. I just didn't think it was going to happen this soon.
Again, there's good and bad of having a lot of your team cars lined up. The good is you have a lot of guys that can help. Bad news is if one makes a mistake, the whole team is out, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, there's a handful, unfortunately, of those Team Superior cars that just went for Mr. Toad's wild ride.
Let's ride on board with Kim Nyholm to see what the 58 saw. See, the incident happens well ahead. Michael Haflidason gets out of it. Oh. Nyholm was still pretty well on the gas and just hoping that the car would slide down out of the way, and it didn't.
It's not a steep enough bank to have that happen. You get used to it and accustomed to it at places like Daytona and Talladega, where the track is pretty much self-cleaning, but you know, the 81 coming off the throttle as violently as he was and as quickly as he was, that should have been a cue for everybody behind him of, oh, hey, there's something going on up there. Nobody wants to be that guy, and unfortunately, we just saw a couple of people play that role.
Tony Oivonen also catching some of it there, as you saw in that replay with Marcus Stiller getting sent towards the inside. 18 of Eric Lundberg also catching a little bit of it. Nothing too significant for that Street Trends number 18. So we are caution number 3 here, working lap 19 of 160 here at Atlanta.
Linus Broström, Jonas Gunnarsson, Jonas Skoglund, Anton Oman, Dennis Scherp, Vilda Whalen, Andre Salander, Dan Sollo, Dan Bloomquist, Håkan Wet, running out your top 10 as we currently sit, as the lights have gone out on that Chevy Silverado base truck. You know, Frank, we've seen a little bit more carnage than we were expecting here tonight, but I can understand why, because this track races so differently than any other track of its layout.
Really, really tight, really, really fast.
And you figure you got the triplets of Charlotte, Texas, and Atlanta having that dog leg on the front stretch. This track races so differently than the other two that if you didn't spend time over the past couple of weeks grinding the laps in a multi-car practice session, when you get in traffic, you're pretty much along for the ride, you know, especially with that wind being as kicked up as it is. I'm actually cringing when I'm seeing the wind speed.
I'm thinking, now the question I think will be, as we get set to go back to green flag racing, and we'll get to that point a little bit later on, as Broström gets another good start inside line, does not get a good one. Anton Ehrman sticking a lot closer to the back end of Jonas Gunnarsson, but he bails to go down in front of his teammate in the 48.
It's exactly what those two Team Superior cars are looking to do, is get to that low side, work with the 83 of Skoglund, work with the 71 of Broström, and see what they can do teamed up together. But here comes Vilda Whalen on the top shelf as she's pushing Gunnarsson now.
Whalen with Daniel Sollo behind her. So I believe that's Daniel Holmer in the 79.
It is.
That's behind. Some of these cars have gotten a new look over the last couple of weeks. The design department in full gear during the winter break.
I just love the fact that we've got a Volvo.
Oh, wrecking in the back, wrecking in the back.
Son of a biscuit.
Caution is out again. I believe Philip Carlin, yes, more cars getting involved. The 77 of Helmbro in it. Somebody went sideways early on there, right in the middle of the corner. I believe it might have been the 22. We'll take a look and see. Oh no, it was the 61 again, coming down across the nose of the 22. Tony Oivinen catching a piece in the door.
Use your spotters, dudes.
It's the second time tonight that the 66 has been involved in a similar incident. Just comes right down. I mean, to be fair, it was clear in the 22 did get quite close early. Oh, did get quite close quite quick, I should say.
Well, I mean, the thing is you can go in to the spotter file in iRacing, and you can determine at what distance, clear or, you know, in front or back, that your spotter is going to call something. And it comes through at 0.2 of a meter. You know, not even a quarter of a meter. It's 0.2. And what I always tell people is bring that out a little bit. You know, at least bring it out to like half a meter. So instead of being less than, you know, for those of you using freedom units, instead of it being a foot, you know, or, you know, 9 inches, I think it would have worked out to. Instead of being 9 inches, you've got, you know, like a foot and a half. Which is more than enough at that point.
Get that down. get that far down into the corner, corner entry at least. Looked as though Hagstrom was committing to that middle line, and 22 decided to fill the hole. That's where it comes from. But getting to the point that we were about to start there as we were going green, I'm wondering if, because this area of Atlanta, Hampton, Georgia sees a lot of weather, especially hurricanes during the late summer into fall. I'm wondering if this track will race like this the entirety of its lifespan, or as it gets older, will it get to more like the older Atlanta, just a lot more narrow?
Interesting. The last time they had paved Atlanta was like the early 90s.
It was when they reconfigured it between the
Right.
two races in 98. 98
Right.
was the last, the spring race in 98 was the last one of the oval layout, like say a Homestead or a Darlington. And then for the championship race, it turned to this configuration.
Hey, so you figure if we've gone over 20 years, I remember the first couple of races here back in the 90s when they first did the reconfigure, and it was follow the leader at that point. You know, and iRacing's going to have to keep an eye on the track surface. They may have to, go back and rescan some of these tracks that have recently gotten repaved to give us the action that indicative of seeing in real life.
Getting set to go once again, lap 25 of 160. Green flag back in the air. A little bit of a wiggle there from Anton Ehrmann. Third car on the bottom line. So there's a big gap down there.
There is, but Gunnarsson now has Fagrell back to his back bumper, so... And they've got the numbers right now. Look for that outside lane to start moving forward.
Anton Ehrmann really getting close to Jonas Gunnarsson there on that bottom line. Whalen trying to push or at least give some sort of momentum to the 33. Does get Gunnarsson across the line first. Daniel Sollo out there as well in the 13. A lot of Alcatech cars lining up on that outside line right now.
You've got two Alcantech cars running stem to stern. Right behind them are two Team Superior cars running stem to stern. As they're coming up on the very wounded 61, this could get interesting very quickly as they're going through the dog leg. 3 wide.
Again, because this track is so narrow, they narrowed it up by a full lane. Boy, 61 just shoves it into the fence, and you may as well. We'll keep you straight.
Well, yeah. But it'll also get you DQ'd if you do it too many times.
True. Boy, getting very close there between the 33 of Gunnarsson. Jonas Gunnarsson there as well. Anton Ehrmann has really stayed strong on that inside line. Third car on the inside line.
Only 34 cars still circulating around this mile and a half in Atlanta. Philip Carlin, Kim Nyholm, and Connie Lundell all still on pit road trying to get those cars get some form of fix to try to turn some laps here. But up in the front, good grief, shot out of a cannon goes Gunnarsson.
Michael Hagstrom and Peter Helmbro, the only two drivers that are not on the lead lap. Right now, Hagstrom would be the lucky dog car as Gunnarsson gets out to the front and vacates that outside line, at least for the moment, before jumping back up, coming out of turn 2 to get Vilda Whalen the push.
Boy, Whalen finally gets to clear on good friend Linus Broström. Is first time Broström hasn't had clean air all night. You got to wonder what's about to happen to the pole sitter in the 71.
Yeah, Broström started on pole. No one had gotten in front of him. He may not have led every single lap, but he's not had anyone in front of him on that inside line until right now, as Broström trying to follow Whalen. Daniel Sollo filling that gap before the 71 can get there, and the outside line now reigning supreme, at least for the moment, as Sollo gets a little bit higher than Vilda Whalen, forces her down to the bottom.
The thing you got to keep in mind, too, is, Whalen driving for Gaia Motorsports. Her teammate is Linus Broström's fiance. So those two people are working together right now, Whalen and Broström are, to try to see what they can do here tonight in Atlanta and maybe steal one from the superior guys that are looking to win their home race.
Certainly a team affair on that outside line. 3 Alcantech cars followed by 3 Team Superior cars on that high line. A couple of Bright Esports cars down on the bottom. 83 of Jonas Gunnarsson.
Yeah, there's 4 Bright Esports.
Yep.
It's time to start.
Skoglund and Holmer, a part of Bright Esports, picked last. 101 and the 487 down there of Wett and Bloomquist. Bright Esports overpower. 2 more Alcantech cars who worked very well together during the sprint race. Eric Blixt and Michael Haflidason now have gotten up into this group. 17 cars up in the lead pack right now.
And you take a look at who your biggest mover is, it's going to be that 112 of Oscar Eriksson for Forza Esports, currently plus 17 in 17. That ought to make your OCD happy.
Let's test your math here in 2023. Plus 17, running in 17th. Where did he start?
34th.
Very good. Tony's gotten better at math this year.
Well, I would hope so, considering I've got an engineering degree. Oops.
As Vilda Whalen leading the way. Linus Broström following behind. There's Connie Lundell back out on the racetrack.
Looking to get hooked up with his teammates there as everybody's working by him on the low side. And I got to respect what these guys and gals are doing. The lap cars are going to the marble area of the course and giving the racing line to those who be at speed.
Vilda Whalen's got the biggest lead of the night, and probably the biggest lead we're going to see outside of the pit cycle before it gets sucked right back in. Outside line's really fallen apart as Kim Nyholm has had an issue. Trying to find Nyholm, or thought Nyholm had an issue.
Nyholm decided to put it on the hauler.
Leaving pit lane. Here's the 58. And Nyholm, I guess, felt something he didn't like, just pulled it off and stopped.
Live to race another day. But Frank, with everybody trying to get to the bottom line right now, I got to think that that's usually the tattletale on speedways that we're about to see around a green flag pit stops, especially considering these guys and gals only have an 85% fuel fill. So we're looking 40 to 45 laps out of a tank and go fast. I mean, you factor in the cautions that we had. Yeah, some people can stretch it a little bit more, but for those that haven't been down pit road yet, they're getting close.
We have had 4 cautions here thus far. And the interesting part of it is, I was told about 50 was the way to get it. Our stage break tonight, something we haven't mentioned tonight at all, is lap 60. So with these cautions, is anyone going to come into pit at all prior to the stage break? If you're running in the middle of the pack, not using as much gas like a Daniel Bloomquist is right now, or a Michael Haflidason is right now, maybe you can make it the entirety of the first stage without coming into pit road. Or especially if you're Michael Haflidason, having come into pit on lap 6 for fuel, he's got a big leg up on everyone else around him.
You figure with a caution here at Atlanta, you can save, usually they call it 2 laps. If you do the caution right, you can save 2 laps of fuel. So with 4 cautions, you figure you've just saved 8 laps. That's two laps short of the stage break. I gotta think that these guys and gals that are not punching the hole in the air, the ones that are following and are, minding their P's and Q's right now, they might be able to make it. But somebody like Bill Whalen right now and somebody like Linus Brostrom right now, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it with 3 wide.
It's going to be close, as that's 3 wide there. Jochen Wet on the inside. Daniel Holmer in the middle. Jonas Gunnarsson being pushed by Eric Blixt on the outside. Boy, Holmer getting very, very close. Watch out.
There it is.
Oh, yep, there they go. Right up at the front of the field. Caution is out. Here's Jonas Gunnarsson, who's been battling for the lead most of the night. Daniel Holmer with a lot of right side damage. Other than that, looks fairly clean.
I mean, we kind of knew that was going to be coming with those guys being 3 wide as long as they were.
As close as they were, especially. So we'll take a look and see from above. Oh, that was the 101 of Jochen Wet pushing up. Anton Ehrmann gets a piece of it. For where that incident was, there's not a lot of cars involved.
I'm happily surprised.
See it once again. Looking at Anton Ehrmann. Yeah, Ehrmann's really the only other driver in the middle of the field. Eric Blixt caught a little bit of it, but other than that, everyone gets away fairly scot-free from that.
79 not happy with the 42. He gives them the chrome horn as they go on to pose.
They weren't near each other. I'm not sure where that would have come from, as we just rode on board with Eric Blixt.
And he's beating on the 95 now, too.
I think I see why.
Oh, yeah.
Right front suspension broken on that 79. He may not have the most control over his automobile.
Yeah, that is Bluetooth front tire, and those normally don't work.
Jochen Wet will take advantage of this, and he will stay out to lead a lap. Everyone who had not come into pit other than the 101 came down pit road that time. Marcus Hagman, Oscar Fredrickson, Eric Lundberg, all staying out as well, and they all have something in common that they do not have in common with the 101. Those 3 came down pit road at some point. Oscar Fredrickson on lap 6, Hagman on lap 10, Lundberg on lap 17.
Well, if you're driving the 101 for overpower right now, you're looking at this going, well, if I save 2 laps under the first caution, 2 under the second, 2 under the third, 2 under the fourth, I just got my 2 laps that I needed to get to the stage. The question is, can I get back around to my pit?
Yeah, that is another thing. It's one thing to make the end of the stage. It's quite another to come back, catch the pace car, and go to your pit box. So your top 4 right now: Jochen Wet, Marcus Hagman, your first row. Oscar Fredrickson and Eric Lundberg, row number 2, and then 2 drivers that did come into pit, and Vilda Whalen and Linus Brostrom. Then 2 guys that have not been down pit road since lap 22. That would be Tony Oivonen and Bjorn Brostrom in the 41 and the 84. After that, everyone who came into pit under this caution. And those were 4 tire and fuel stops.
Which means at the stage break, we're going to probably see a lot of fuel top-offs.
Yep. So we are about 16 laps to go, or we will be 16 laps to go prior to the end of the stage.
And we're about to find out if Jochen Wet guessed right.
He's got a lot of guys on familiar tires around him. This could either be very good or very not good for guys who have been up towards the front here for a vast majority of this race. Wet leads them down into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. A little bit of a tire spin on the outside line from Marcus Hagman.
Well, Hagman doing what he's got to do to try to get up there. He's got momentum now, and he's got the help in the form of the 18 of Eric Lundberg pushing on him. And here we go.
Brostrom there as well.
Linus Brostrom up there as he slots in front of Emily. Well, I'm sorry, Bill Whalen. Emily's back a little bit further.
Here goes Brostrom to the inside, gets around Lundberg. Now trying to put the moves on Hagman, and there is a tire advantage here. It may run like a super speedway, but if you've got good tires, you're certainly going to have a better run.
The 111 of Anton Bradberg just pancaked that car into the front stretch wall.
Seen that a couple of times here tonight already. The highest running Team Superior car right now, and the only one in this front group is Bjorn Brostrom. Has a couple of guys running right around him. Linus Brostrom back out to the front. Vilda Whalen pushing. They've got a half a second on the rest of the group already.
Well, I know for a fact that, both Linus and Bjorn, Vilda and Emily all were working. They were putting in the work. During the break, I counted no less than 5 practice sessions for those people.
Another 3-wide scenario. Jonas Skoglund, pardon me, running in the middle. Sollo on the bottom, Oivinen on top. Bloomquist trying to stick his nose in there as well, as Oivinen's going to go to the back of the line. This is what I was saying about the tire advantage. In 3 laps, Brostrom and Whalen have pulled out a 1.2 second lead as now Vilda Whalen goes to the inside. Back to the front for the 29.
And let's call it like we see it. Vilda needs these points.
Yes.
She needs them more desperately than Linus does for this stage. So if she can get the 10 bonus points for the stage win, that's going to be huge in the point standings as we wrap up half of the season tonight.
And unless the caution comes out, it will be a no contest, especially because look who's leading the 2 lines here in this second group. Jochen Wett and the 12 of Marcus Hagman will now make it the 112 of Oscar Fredrickson. Those are 3 guys who have not come into pit yet for tires. So no tires right now, leading and holding back the rest of the field as Whalen and Brostrom have now gotten out to 2.2 seconds.
It's about 3/4 of the distance down the back straightaway is the gap from Brostrom to Wett. And as they come out of turn number 4, green and white checkers in the air.
Lap 60, not 50.
Oh, I thought it was 50.
Nope, 60. 6-0.
Oh, okay then. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
Jochen Wett still leading that inside line. Now the outside line has a little bit of relief as Anton Bradberg had a little bit of relief as Bradberg was leading that outside line. Now 3 Alcantech cars take over the bottom. The 81 of Haflidason. Sollo and Solander go right on through. Eric Blixt holding up Marcus Stromberg a little bit as guys start to siphon their way through. Jochen Wett trying to do everything that he can to keep whatever position he has. Anton Bradberg now gets under that 101, and Bradberg now free. Eric Blixt the same.
With 3 Team Alcantech cars just running stem to stern right now, trying to make something happen on the fresher tires. But I don't think they're making up 3 seconds.
No, they
in
are.
7 laps.
They're closing by about 1/10.5 a lap, but that's certainly not enough. As the caution comes out, they're not going to need it to be enough. Philip Broberg around backwards down the back straightaway. And that puts a massive crinkle in the nice little plan of the 29 and 71.
Unfortunately, it does, but, we're not 5 laps to go, so we are going to get a couple lap shootout here.
It was at the back of this front group here as the first replay we see is on board with Broberg. See what happened through turns 1 and 2.
He pinched down, and there's no room at the end.
It was Tony Oivinen in the 84 that he came down on. Job by Hannes Nilsson there to get around. Some guys coming into pit road. Marcus Hagman down pit road. Eric Lundberg, Oscar Fredrickson, Dennis Scherp, Emily Fagerl, Jacob Larson, Marcus Hagman, Stiller, Ehrman, Oivinen, Erling, Gunnarsson, Holmer, Lundell, all down pit road. Jochen Wett did not pit, so he must feel comfortable that he can make it this entire stage without coming down to pit at all, as we see Peter Helmbro getting a lap back.
Yeah. And, I think the people that are going to play this fuel strategy, you've made your bed, now it's time to lie in it. There's not much you can do at this point. Just kind of hang on, wait for the stage break, and do what you got to do under that caution. As we're working caution number 6 here tonight from Atlanta, round number 9 of the Svenska eRacinligan Cup Series. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Tony Trapasso. Thank you so much for making this part of your evening. How'd I do?
Very, very good. 5 laps to go here before the end of the stage when they cross the line right now. So expectation would be that they would have about 2 to 3 laps of racing before we get going. And it'll be 3 laps of racing before the stage break comes out.
So a green, white checker.
Yes, sir. Anton Ehrman still down pit road. Daniel Holmer on pit road after an earlier incident. Everyone else back out on track. Kim Nyholm done for the night. Philip Carlin the same. Everyone else back out on track. Jonas Gunnarsson, I believe, is the only driver on track that's 1 lap down at least. Connie Lundell a lap down as well. Now Ehrman and Holmer, but they are not on track at the moment.
Right.
Lundell is, Ehrman and Holmer aren't, to be clear.
Correct. So 33 cars still running, 2 on pit road trying to get those things fixed. And hats off to Connie Lundell. Spent quite a while on pit road getting that. Stuck with it. And, all it's going to take is for one more person to drop out and he can make up some spots.
Absolutely.
As Dan Holmer and Anton Ohlman both coming out of pit road now.
They'll be left in the middle as we've got 3 laps to go before the end of the stage. Vilda Whalen out in front. Linus Broström on the outside. Green flag back in the air. And a bunch of Alcantech cars behind the 2.
Work together, but right now the 81 of Haflidason pushing the daylights out of Whalen right now.
Michael Haflidason, remember, winner of the sprint race, started from pit road, did the 81. Vilda Whalen jumps up in front of the 71, trying to get the familiar push. As Haflidason looking to not just win the sprint, but looking to win the stage as well.
That would be something if he could pull that off. Currently sitting plus 19, being scored in second right now. So a plus 20 drive if he did win the stage. That's incredible.
And to do it on merit as well, not just pit strategy.
Right.
Only can happen at Atlanta, Daytona, or Talladega. Still impressive.
Well, maybe Michigan.
Michigan and Auto Club as well, possibly. Whalen holding that outside pretty firm right now.
A lot of respect being shown up here at the front, though, Frank. Is white flag in the air.
Absolutely. Vilda Whalen will be the completion of lap 60 here. As Vilda Whalen on that outside line. Michael Haflidas and Andre Solander, a car sliding in the back. Caution does not come out.
One of them was a 19 of Nielsen.
You know, I saw a Bright Esports car sliding there as Whalen.
Yeah, that's the 117 of Broberg.
Whalen's still out in front. We'll get to that in a moment. 3 wide there in the middle, a couple of Bright Esports cars. But right now it looks like that outside line has things all wrapped up. Brostrom trying to come down there. 3 wide. Brostrom in the middle, cuts off Solander. But coming out of turn number 4, Michael Haflidasson's already pulled this move. Not going to get the chance to do it. Vilda Whalen wins the stage.
Everybody wanting those all-important bonus points. So Whalen, Haflidason, Brostrom, Selander, Sollo, Blixt, Lesnick, Bratberg, Stromberg, and Larson getting the final bonus point for the stage.
Take a look really quick at what happened there with Philip Broberg coming off of turn 2. He's already slow and stopped. Take a look and see once again. Broberg has had a night in that 117.
Oh, he absolutely has.
But a contact down the back straightaway. That is how stage 1 will end. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching the Do You Even Draft by Superior here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Behöver du en bil? Mobi hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mobi hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
About to go back to racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Do You Even draft by Superior. End of the first half of the season. Vilda Whalen takes the top spot come the end of the stage. Michael Haflidason, your sprint race winner, finishes in second. A bunch of guys coming down pit road, but Tony, we've got 96 laps to go here at Atlanta.
And it's going to be hard to bet against those Alcantech cars, especially considering that they hold right now 4 of the top 5 spots.
They hold 5 of the top 6. Vilda Whalen's the only one that's not there in the top 6, at least. That's not an Alcantech car. Haflidason, Solander, Sollo, Blixt, and Liesnich. Liesnich has very quietly worked his way up in the 016.
It's 24 currently sitting. That's one of the biggest movers. Tony Oivonen into the top 10 plus 26.
Tony Oivonen coming down to pit on lap 54. The first of the drivers that came down to pit under this stage caution is Marcus Stromberg, currently running in the 13th spot there in the 64. Emily Fagrell, the Team Gaia teammate of Vilda Whalen, right now running up in 13th position.
Looking to get a little more headway is Whalen leaning on Andre Salander coming through 3 and 4. That was putting a lot of faith in netcode between those two.
Salander did end up getting into the wall, but right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all Alcantech cars. Haflidason, Sollo, Blixt, Liesnich, Solander, the one that has fallen out. Actually, no, those were the 5 that started in the top 6. They're all lined up as third.
And you kind of got a feel for Villa right now because, she doesn't really have any teammates around her. Your closest one is going to be Emily, and she's way back in 13th. With Villa running 7th right now, about to lose 7th. They're battling for 6th with Johan Larsson right now, and Anton Bradberg right there in the mix as well.
Speaking of way back in 14th position, if you look down there on the bottom line, those 2 women are only 2 cars away from each other. Now make it 3 as Tony Oivonen jumps down to the inside line. Oh, and around goes Vilda Whalen off the nose of the 57. Doesn't appear to have hit the wall all that hard. But that good run is going to have to be recreated here.
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, she slid up.
She
Drifted
caught
out a little
she
too
caught
far.
that apron coming through the dog leg.
Drifted out a little bit too far.
Yep, it was just a light touch coming through the first corner of the dog leg, and she caught that red line and up the track she went. If you touch it with only one or 2 tires, you're along for the ride at that point. You've got to get all 4 under it if you're going to use it, which it's out of bounds, so.
It's on board with Johan Larsson. Johan Larsson right now the highest running of the Team Lockhart cars. Who, by the way, will be sponsoring a race later on this season. The first race in the round of 10 at Auto Club.
And Frank, I think Vilda may have gotten away with one, kind of like her teammate Emily Farrell did earlier. There's not a lot of damage on that Camaro.
Yeah, no.
Just a little bit of a separation between the fender and the hood. But, I mean, I've seen a ton worse here tonight.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
No, it didn't look like a ridiculously hard hit. You see on board there, you see that little bit of sheet metal bent up there. Right beyond that near brace on the windscreen. Linus Brostrom down pit road as well. Jonas Gunnarsson, Pontus Nilsson. We've seen guys really be able to push the issue and be able to move forward. And we've also seen guys that have not been able to do that. Granted, Jonas Gunnarsson has damage, but he's another one that has not really been able to push forward after getting sent to the back earlier on. Alexander Arilson, he's been mired back in the midfield as well. Dennis Scherp, again, he's been another one. Just not able to move forward.
So let's recap what we've got here at the front of the field. We have an Audi leading a Volvo, leading a Chevy that's leading a Volkswagen.
And that Volkswagen used to be a BMW.
Yes, it did. I love the creativity in this league. I really do.
All for a show.
Hats off to everybody that painted some of these cars. I mean, you guys did an amazing job. Guys and gals did an amazing job. Hats off to y'all.
Loving the paint scheme on Liesnich's car as well. It does got that little holographic shimmer to it with all those colors.
Yep.
And as we were speaking before about Team Lockhart sponsoring a race, once again, I'd like to thank the team that is sponsoring the race tonight. That would be Team Superior, highest running car for that Team Superior group. Running right now in the 6th position would be that 111 of Anton Brodberg.
Doing what he's got to do, but you look, one car separation between himself and his teammate Robert Eriksson, who's back in 10th. So, you know, these guys still have a shot at it.
Absolutely do, and especially in a Superspeedway-esque race, anything can and usually does happen. As Haflidason gets a very good jump, Eric Blixt, second car on the inside line. Daniel Sollo, first car on the outside line, now running even.
Oy. And those Team Superior, Team Alcantech car is getting them to start as quickly as they can. The thing is, they've got one extra car compared to what the ideal number would be.
Now, we didn't have time pre-race to show you, but the Alcantech team has been absolutely dominating this season. Right now, the Alcantech by Nyman Racing team, 771 points as far as the team championship is concerned. Second place is the Alcantech by Almatech team, 626 points. So Alcantech and their second team, well, they're two teams right now, 1 and 2 in the team championship. Forza Esports Academy following closely behind the Almatech team by just 5, but a 145-point lead for the Alcantech by Nyman Racing team.
Unbelievable. You know, the fact that the fact that they've put together such a strong old team. This is very indicative of what we saw in the GT3 division with Forza Esports. Alcantech's dominating the oval tracks, Forza Esports a little bit better on the road courses.
Now, I think the way they have this sorted out, and I'm sure the guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but the Almatech cars are the cars that we have seen throughout the first half of this season. That's Haflidason, that's Solander, that's Liesnich. The Nyman Racing cars have broken out the new paint scheme, so that's Blixt, that's Sollo. Right up there at the front, that's Gunnarsson. So now there's a little bit of differentiation between the two teams. So again, it's Almatech, pardon me, are the cars that we have seen, the 81, the 140, and the Almatech cars, or the Nyman Racing cars, are the new ones, the 90, 95, and the 13.
And I was just looking to see what Alcantech all makes for sim racing. Holy cow. I'm looking at their pedals that they've got available, and yikes. It's actual hydraulic pedals for the sim racing.
Now, this is where we ask the obligatory question that the broadcasters get a complimentary set if they win the championship, right? This is where this happens?
Yes.
And so on Bradberg again, one of the Team Superior drivers. Now, oh boy, 18 of Eric Lundberg might come to rue that decision, as he has now let the two Team Superior cars line up. As that's Bradberg and Eriksson on the outside now. Tony Oivonen pushing him. Lundberg leading that bottom line with Liesnich. Down there as well, Jonas Skoglund. Daniel Blomqvist, Kenneth Tier down there as well. But right now, there's no stopping the Alcantech team right now.
Hey, Frank. I don't think we're getting free pedals.
Oh, okay.
It's $2,000 for a gas and a brake.
Yeah, okay.
And for those of you on that side of the pond, €18.50.
So this is where you get the gas and I get the brake, right?
Yeah. I've always got gas, so why not?
There you go. 14 cars currently leading this race right now in this front group. Johan Larsson, the last of the drivers in the front group. Then there's a pair, Jochen Wett and Jonas Forss, running 15th and 16th right now. They're about a second and a half behind. 3 seconds behind them is this little group here. Oscar Fredriksson, Dennis Scherp, Vilda Whalen, Jacob Larsson, Jonas Gunnarsson, Bjorn Broström, Marcus Stiller, Linus Broström, all in this little group here. Or pardon me, Marcus Stiller about a second and a half off of Bjorn Broström at the back of this group, and then Linus Broström, Marcus Hagman, Alexander Arildson, Pontus Nilsson, Peter Helmbro, and Robert Erling about 3.5 seconds off of that group. So we have stretched our legs here at Atlanta.
Wonder how much more patience is Anton Bradberg going to show here tonight, as he's just following those three Alcantech cars in front of him, as have the Salander leads the bottom lane with help from Lundberg. But, the highest running Team Superior car of Bradberg, the Camry has absolutely no help tonight. The next nearest Camry is Ken Tier back in 11th.
Bradberg right now on the outside of 3 wide. That's Tony Oivonen in the middle, now backing out. Daniel Blomqvist was the car on the bottom. Seen a lot of respectful racing up here at the front, and especially with these guys getting as spread out as they are. A lot of green flag racing that we've seen. We have not had a caution since the stage break is flown.
Now the question is, when are we going to see the money stop? Most of these drivers have only changed tires once, maybe twice already. They have 5 total sets to get them through tonight. So a lot of teams still have tires on the wall.
Tony Oivonen, speaking of the wall, Tony Oivonen catches it through 3 and 4, allows Johan Larsson and Emily Fegrell around. Seeing a bunch of guys up here that we haven't spoken about much in this race. Again, haven't spoken much about Anton Bradberg running in 4th now, getting around Andre Solander on the outside line. Eric Lundberg, we saw him at the back earlier on, had a little bit of an incident, one of the cautions in the first stage. Kenneth Tier, plus 25 from where he started the day, running in 10th. So a lot of faces have shuffled their way up to the front. Meanwhile, guys like Linus Broström, Jonas Gunnarsson, Vilde Whalen, all kind of stuck in the back right now.
You know, they're kind of just biding their time. You know, Vilda's already gotten into some trouble here tonight. You know, just kind of riding it out, making sure that she brings that home in one piece. And, you know, not wanting to do anything crazy. Just come out of here with as many points as you can and, you know, be able to drive the car onto and off of the hauler and back into the shop on Monday.
This 16-car pack is about to become a lot bigger. Michael Haflidason last time around did a 31.53. Dennis Scherp, who is leading that second group last time around, did a 31.25. So this lead group of 16 cars is not that far away from getting an extra 6 cars added to it. Actually, it's more than 6. There are a couple of lap down cars in this group, 61 being one of them there. So yeah, they're about a lap or so away from being able to tack on to the back of this front group.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
And the logic behind that is, unlike Daytona and Talladega, where you actually can run full throttle for the most part, once these tires get worn here, you can experience tire wear, and the bigger the group that you're in, the more you're going to have to let off. Meanwhile, if you're in a group of about 5 or 6 cars, the way Dennis Scherp is leading right now, he doesn't. The guys in the group don't have to let off nearly as much because there aren't as many cars around them. They can catch up to that group. They're now inside of a second.
You're absolutely right. You know, and then, you know, right now everybody's trying to figure out the game, and you know, where do I need to be? Who can I work with to try to move forward a little bit? You know, you've got that front group that now makes up, wow, 21 cars,
just about.
Basically, just about 21 cars. You know, as long as you're with that lead group, you still have a shot at this one if you know how to play the draft.
Absolutely. And also, while that's been going on, Linus Broström leading his group of 5. Talking about being 3 seconds back earlier on, he is a second behind Bjorn Broström, who is now 2.5 seconds behind Jonas Gunnarsson, after that group has now officially merged into the lead group.
Racing is still very, you know, intense, as one of your bigger battles right now is the slugfest for 12 between Oivind and Eriksson. And just as they say that, in front of them, they're going after each other now again. Bradford trying to make something happen on the top side.
And we're starting to double file up here again. Daniel Sollo trying to play a little bit of blocker for the two drivers that finished 1 and 2 in the sprint race. Eric Blixt led most of the sprint race. Michael Haflidason took it away from him coming through the first kink out of turn 4 on the final lap. Now they're running 1 and 2 in the feature race. Now with Daniel Sollo looking to the inside for the race lead. Andre Solander there as well, as is Martin Liesnich. Bratberg, the only one keeping it from being an all Alcatech top 5.
Bradford doing what he needs to right now, as you know, the 83 of Skoglund up there as well, you know, looking to play spoiler here. You know, you've got some bright esports drivers up there, and we've already seen once tonight that if you can get those bright esports cars lined up, they're going to the front.
They will go. Jochen Wett out there on the outside line in the 101. He has led some laps today, and that was on the oldest tires in the field. He's only come down to pit once here tonight. So we ride on board with Jochen Wett now. Hear how much these guys are having to lift off going into these corners. Again, that's 1 to keep the draft, 2 to keep out of the wall. Boy, Skoglund getting very out of shape there on the bottom line.
They're definitely trying, that's for sure. Everybody wants to get that golden Coca-Cola bottle on their trophy wall.
Still riding on board with Jochen Wendt right now, 281 kilometers an hour.
And for those of you using Freedom units, that's about 175.
Easiest way to remember it is 40K equals 25 miles an hour. So
And 100K is about 62.
Yes. So if you're doing 120K, you're doing 75.
Ask me how I know.
I look at my dashboard. I see where the little lines line up.
First time my family and I went camping up in Canada, we had a fifth wheel camper, and Dad wasn't feeling well, so Mom took over, and we're banging down the road, and my dad wakes up and he sees that we're going a lot quicker than we probably should be going. Looks at my mom and goes, "How fast are you going?" She says, "Well, the speed limit says 100. I said, "Mom, that's kilometers an hour."
Ooh, getting very close there, Martin Liesnich, as Michael Haflidason comes down pit road.
So Haflidason going to be the first one to flinch to get that money stop done and dusted. 60 to go. Hoping he can make it the rest of the way here. I don't know if he can do that.
No, I don't think so. I think there's still one more coming, and it would make sense for the 81 to be coming in first, as there's Haflidason down pit road right now. Would make a ton of sense for him to be the first one to come down pit road. He's been leading this entire stint.
Yeah. So he's been the one punching the hole in the air, and everybody else being able to use him as the real fuel pig.
Eric Blixt was running in second for most of that stint. He's now the third car on the outside line. Andre Solander currently leading in the 140. Martin Liesnich currently out in front of that inside line. $19 lead lap cars in this top group. A lot of wiggling, a lot of moving around as guys trying to fight, 1, tire wear, 2, try to stay up as much as they can. And for a race with 37 drivers, 160 laps, first race back in a month, to only have 3 retirements to this point is not bad.
That's actually impressive. But the good news is, if you're an Anton Bradberg fan, help is coming. As Robert Eriksson has just about found him. As they're both working the top shelf right now, and only the 18 separating them.
The race has moved to the inside line here, and this might be, Tony, as you had mentioned earlier on, guys shuffling to try to get down pit road unimpeded.
Oh!
That was a hard hit to the outside wall there by Lundberg. Now we got some guys coming in. Solander, Sollo, Blixt, Bratberg. Liesnich comes down pit road as well. This will hand the lead over to Jonas Skoglund.
Skoglund with a good head of steam right now. In the 18, you got to wonder, did he do any damage with how hard he hit the turn to the wall? I'm not seeing a lot of body work damage. But then again, these bodies tend to spring back a little more than the sheet metal ones do.
Robert Eriksson also caught that wall behind him. Not quite as hard as the 18 did. However, it was certainly enough.
So now your highest running superior car is the 35 of Eriksson. As the 101 of Jochen Wendt, as Dan Bloomquist, his teammate, behind him.
This has been the longest green flag run of the race by far. Now Vilda Whalen currently back in the top 10, running in 10th position. She has an advantage that only a couple of other drivers can lay claim to. Dennis Scherp, Vilda Whalen, Jonas Gunnarsson, Linus Broström, Marcus Hagman, and Alexander Eriksson, add Peter Helmbro to that list as well, all came down during that caution for when the 29 spun earlier on in this stage. So those guys and girls will have about another 10 laps on the rest of the field, as that is Robert Eriksson coming down pit road in Team Superior car.
You kind of got to question that right now, as he's not going to have any help as one of the few cars that did go down this time. Matter of fact, the only car that is on pit road right now, other than Pontus Nielsen, who looks like he may have gotten popped for speeding on.
Pontus Nielsen running in 30th position right now in that Force Esports number 19. Now, part of the reason why Eriksson is coming down pit road now is Robert Erling coming down pit road as well in the 82. We saw him slow on the back stretch on the apron. Part of the reason why Eriksson had not come into pit since lap 42.
Yikes.
Which is why he came in so late. The
Three
other
wide
driver,
for third.
the other driver in that position is Eric Lundberg, who came into pit on lap 54. Everybody else around him came in under the stage caution at 62, as both Daniel Blomqvist and Kenneth Tier catch the wall.
Incredible. You know, we've seen some amazing saves here tonight, Brian. I'm shocked that we've seen as many saves as sideways squeeze that we didn't have more cautions than we did saves.
One that sticks out to me, at least, is the 61 of Michael Hagstrom during the sprint race. Drifted it all the way through turns 1 and 2 and kept it straight. Didn't hit the wall either.
Yeah, still wondering how he did that.
Skoglund, Wet, Lundberg, Force, Fredriksson. Your top 5. And speaking of the 61 of Hagstrom, there he is on cue in the group. Maybe in this group, but right now running 3 laps down at the moment. Or 2 laps down, sorry. Vilda Whalen there as well. Jacob Larson as a battle for the lead starting to intensify a little bit, as this is now making me question the pit strategy for the Alcantech cars, because here they are, they're running in a group right now, so they're able to save fuel, but they came in really early, and again, all those guys came in at the stage break on lap 62, but so did Skoglund, so did Wet, so did Force, so did Fredriksson, and they've stayed out quite a significant amount of laps longer, about 10 laps longer at this point.
Yeah, that's impressive and scary at the same time. As battle for fourth, hot and heavy between the 18 of Lundberg and the 112 of Fredriksson, as they've been door to door for the last couple of laps.
Just about. As Lundberg now starting to lose ground on that inside line with no help. Dennis Scherp there as well. Vilda Whalen now side by side with Jacob Larson. Blomqvist and Tier there in this group as well. There's a 2-car group here, a little pair between Jonas Gunnarsson and Emily Fagrell. They're about 1.2 seconds off of the lead pack. 1.3 seconds behind those two is Linus Broström with Marcus Hagman, Alexander Eriksson, Peter Helmbro, Bjorn Broström, and the Alcantech cars that came into pit back on lap 103. So that group is coming in a hurry.
Are at that, and you're seeing them exploit the tire advantage. We're looking right now as we're closing in on about 60-ish laps. We're a handful of laps away from the 60 lap mark. Skoglund, Wet, Forrest, Fredrickson, and Scherp all looking at almost 2 seconds worth of fall off after that amount of time. That's huge. Yep. If you can get the undercut and not destroy the tires doing it, take the advantage.
I was just about to say, the expectation would be that the next car to come down pit road would be Eric Lundberg. Last time he was down pit road was lap 54, and he has come in now, so the assumption would be we're about 8 laps away from seeing Skoglund, Wet, Force, Fredrickson, Larson, Bloomquist, and Tier come down pit road. Marcus Stiller in the 013, a part of the race sponsor team tonight, Superior, running in 15th. He is the only other car, other than the drivers that are running in the top 8 right now, the 7 of the top 8, that came into pit on lap 62.
We're seeing a lot of different strategies play out here tonight, and it's impressive that whoever's sitting on top of that pit box with the pencil making these calls, pardon my French, folks, but some of these are kind of ballsy moves as far as pit strategies.
Well, they absolutely are. It'll be interesting to see how the Alcantech pit strategy is going to work out. They all came in at the stage break on lap 62 and then came into pit on lap 103. Now they think they can make it. They're sitting in the draft, so they might have gotten their last pit stop out of the way early. But right now it is Jonas Skoglund out in front. We're not that far away from the leaders having to come into pit. We'll bring that to you when we come back right here on Sim Racing Media.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Back to live action here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Svenska eRacinligan's Do You Even Draft by Superior here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Currently a Team Superior car leading the race. Dennis Scherp out in front in the number 48. We just saw a bunch of guys come down pit road. And Tony, a little bit of extracurriculars happening on pit lane.
I don't think the Bright Esports team is going to be very happy with each other because of all the extracurriculars that did happen there. And I'm trying to take a look. I don't think anybody got popped for an unsafe pit entry, which is surprising.
Linus Brostrom, Alexander Arielson, Jonas Gunnarsson all coming down pit road right now. That leaves Dennis Scherp, Marcus Hagman, and Peter Helmbro. Your top three and the only three that have not come down pit road during this cycle of pit stops. That would hand the lead over to Toni Oivonen right now in the 84. He is your effective race leader with a 2.7 second lead over Michael Haflidason, who you see on your screen right now in the number 81 with Eric Blixt behind. So once the 48, 12, and 77 come down pit road, the 84 will be your race leader, as I believe Dennis Scherp has just come down pit road. Yes, he has. So has Hagman. So has Helmbro.
Oivonen still has to get all the way around because he was a lap down to those guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially considering that he's got a 2.5 second lead over Eric Blixt in the 95, and Michael Haflidason, Dan Sollo, Martin Lesnick, and Eric Lundberg all right there, ganged up as well. So. If I was Oivonen, I'd be running for my life right now.
Good news is he's got a pair of Team Superior cars effectively blocking him. He's got somebody to draft off of in front of him in Marcus Stiller and Connie Lundell providing a little bit of a buffer behind. Eric Blixt, with Hagman and Helmbro coming down pit road, now leads his group. So while this group will most likely catch up to Toni Oivonen, they've already cut it down to 1.8 seconds. Those two are not in the draft right now, as I believe that's about to change. Nope, they're going to go around the 61 of Hagstrom.
And they are. This is definitely not being a good race for Marcus Hagman. Electing to pit start, thinking there was going to be a little more confidence than there was. Caught a break when the first caution did come out, but definitely not a drive in a cup car that's indicative to what we know Marcus can do.
Michael Hagstrom out in the pit road right now, as Vilda Whalen leading her own little group right now. Jacob Larson, Kenneth Tier behind her. Emily Fegrell leading her own group.
And behind Emily Figueroa, that is an angry pack of hornets.
Linus Brostrom right behind her.
Arielson, Fredrickson, and Gunnarsson all right there as well.
And those guys just came out of pit road together. Fegrell came into pit on lap 115. Brostrom, Arielson, and Gunnarsson on lap 125. So there is an advantage there. That lead for Toni Oivonen has been cut down under a second, 0.7 seconds between Oivonen, Blixt, Sollo, Haflidason, Liesnich, and Eric Lundberg has latched onto the back of that group. Andre Solander, he must have had a pit road speeding penalty because he is a lap down. The first car not on the lead lap, running in 24th.
You're correct. Did get popped for speeding back on lap 103 and was held 45 seconds in the box. Definitely no bueno.
Toni Oivonen doesn't have to worry about the car in front of him, nor does he have to worry about the car behind him. It's the car behind the 91 that Oivonen has to avert his attention to. as those two Team Superior cars again playing a little bit of escort for the 84 right now. Clear in front, clear behind.
Mistaken, Oivinen's an independent, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Well, if this keeps going the way it's going, I think he's currently being courted by Team Superior.
That 84, I'll tell you what, Team Superior may not win this race, but they might win a driver.
Absolutely, I mean, they've been helping Oivinen, for the last 20 laps, and I mean, this is some good action that we're seeing. The other thing to keep in mind too, Oivinen is up 35 spots from where he started. Almost shotgun dead last.
Started 36th, finished second to last in the sprint race earlier on tonight. And the reason why we say might be being courted by Team Superior is because Lundell could have easily gotten up and around him at any point here. Could have asked Stiller to come up to the outside line, Lundell take the spot and try to get one of his laps back. But just hanging on right now.
Absolutely. I mean, they're basically playing escort. In the trucking industry, we call it Oivinen sitting is it's the rocking chair. Yep. You're not the lead person. You're not the tail gunner.
Look at this!
Wow.
Jonas Force has gotten one heck of a run up to the race lead, just went past all of those Alcantech cars, and now past Tony Oivinen with little to no help. What a run by Force.
Well, you figured Force last came down pit road on lap 121 to get his final tires, and he was shot out of a cannon going into 3. I don't think he lifted.
Say, where on earth did he come from? As Jonas Force now out in front, puts Stiller a lap down, and Force is going to try to run away.
Well, you got to wonder if does Oivinen have enough fuel to make it from here? As a matter of fact, I think, honestly, Linus Broström, Jonas Force, Eric Lundberg, and Alexander Arilton in the top 10 are about the only ones that we know can make it from here. And Jakob Larsson, that just pretty much your answer to the works.
Yep, caution is out. As I believe Johan Larsson and Robert Eriksson.
And Eriksson has Bluetooth front suspension.
Yep, it has broken away. And that is a killer for Jonas Force, who was set to run. As we'll see what happened here at the front of this field is stupid scroll. Well, Tony's seen it, and if I can get this scroll wheel to play nice for a second, you guys might be able to see it as well. There we go. So Johan Larsson, it looks like Larsson might have been coming down to pit road, and just came right across the front of the group.
Eriksson absolutely nowhere to go, just annihilates him.
I'm stunned that the other drivers there were able to get around him. Watch, we'll run this from on board of Robert Eriksson. He's already been a part of it at this point. Let's see here. Get on board of Eriksson now. There's trying to get. Oh my!
Yeah, that's a thank God this is a simulator kind of moment.
I mean, that's one where the Red Sea parts, and it takes you a second to process what's happening, and before you get finished processing, off you go. Vilda Whalen wins the race off of pit road, or part of the race off of pit road. Daniel Sollo in 5th does win the race off of pit road. Marcus Hagman, Peter Helmbro, Dennis Sherp, and Jonas Skoglund do not come into pit. Now, the reason why that's funny is because I have made it my mission to not mispronounce Dennis Scherp's last name, and I had mentioned it to Tony during the break that every time I mention his name, I take a little pause just to double check and make sure I got it right. And I think that right there, that one right there, was the closest I've been to actually saying it wrong.
See, I purposely said it wrong during the last break to see if I could trip you up.
No, that wasn't it. I got so used to saying Dennis Scherp all season long that it feels natural, and now having to retrain that to Dennis Scherp is.
This probably is by far, we should probably start putting $1 in the jar every time I mispronounce his name.
Oh, like I said, I'm not going to mispronounce it. That was my goal this season, was not to mispronounce his name the remainder of the season, going into 2023. That was one of my goals.
Once we were made aware of it after race 5.
So Dennis Scherp will start on the inside of row number 2 after not coming down pit road. Now, the reason why he did not come into pit, same with Hagman and Helmbro, would be because they both came into pit on lap 127. So they had made a pit stop not that long prior to this. As I believe, yes,
they did just extend the caution.
Yeah, they did. Guys trying to get in order. Some guys trying to get wave arounds, trying to get laps back, because there's Anton Bradberg going around. Andre Solander going around. Trying to get in the right order. So the caution has been extended here. As we work to get the last now 18 laps of this race under green flag conditions. That was by far and away the longest green flag run that we have had tonight, from around lap, what would you say, 73?
Yeah.
All the way to lap 130, 137, 138.
Yeah.
Got a full green flag pit cycle in there as well.
If you take a look at what's at the front of this field, that is an uphill battle for anybody that wants to try to win this race, because you've got those two very strong Force Eastwood cars running 1-2 right now.
There's a new paint schemes for those cars as well.
I'm liking the orange better than I like the gold. It's easier to read the car with the orange on there.
I think it was also the fact that the gold with the spec map on it as well. Now they do have a little bit of spec map on it with the silver that I'm sure they're trying to emulate as chrome.
I'm digging that. I really am digging that, but it really makes that Mobby logo pop and the orange.
Jonas Skoglund, Dennis Scherp lining up in row number 2. Daniel Sollo, Linus Broström, the two guys that came off of the pits first here during this caution. Lining up in row number 3. 18 laps to go here from Atlanta. Green flag in the air. Great jump for those two Force cars.
I see you, they were in each other's ear, letting each other know what's going on. As now, if Helmbro was smart, he would drop down. Too late.
Well, now it comes up. Now it turns to Hagman. Come up, and he does. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide. Daniel Sollo, Scherp in the middle. Scherp a little bit of contact with Skoglund. Somehow managed to keep it straight. Whew. Now it's Alcantech on the bottom.
Alcantech on the bottom. Force Esports on the top with a bright Esports car with them. Oy vey.
Lines are starting to collect, back up with each other. 16-0, and around goes Helmbro. Down the back straightaway. Caution is out. Believe the 4 caught it, yes.
Helmbro, Brostrom, Fagrell, all involved in that one.
There's Linus.
As well as the 18 catching a piece.
Yep, Eric Lundberg. There he is. Looks okay. Does the 18. 71 and the 4 look okay as well, to be fair. Peter Helbro. A bit of a crinkle on the right front, but other than that, looks good. So let's take a look and see what happened here. This was, again, coming out of turn 2.
He caught that bump on the transition on the outside.
Eriksson catching some of it.
And was getting bump drafted at the same time, so that's definitely no point.
Eriksson caught some of it. So did Fredriksson in the 112. There it is. There's the bump, and then straightens it out. Skoglund with nowhere to go, nothing to do. Brostrom getting pushed by Fredriksson. Eriksson caught a little bit of it initially as everyone stacked up on the bottom. Right on board with the 24 of Eriksson right now. Here we are on board. Goes to the bottom, and then Brostrom just gets turned right down in front of him.
Well, I think it's safe to assume, Frank, that all the patients have died. We are in go time. Everybody on track right now, and you're in a claw fight, gouge, scratch, kick, and just dig for anything you possibly get at this.
Just running on board there with Emily Fagrell, and it doesn't look like she caught anything too hard. Scrubbed the nose on the backstretch wall, but other than that, the hardest hit was to that right rear that spun her around.
Yeah, luckily she's got an extra set of tires still laying on the wall, so she can go down, get those put on, and finish this race strong.
She's not done so yet, by the way.
No, but she could, because I guarantee you there's probably a flat spot in those tires right now.
I would guess.
So Dan Sollo, Eric Blixt, Mikkel Hagstrom, Dennis Scherp, Martin Liesnik, Vilda Whalen, Alexander Eriksson, Dan Bloomquist, Oscar Fredriksson, and Ken Tier, rounding out your top 10 as we currently sit. Two of your biggest movers right now, three of your biggest movers, are Liesnik in 5th, up 25. Oscar Fredriksson is plus 25 back in 9th, and so is Ken Tier back in 10th.
Those guys might win the biggest mover of the race award, but the pit stop workout award will definitely go to Alexander Eriksson in that 24. He has come down to pit 13 times. Mostly everyone else has come down between 3 and 5. Robert Erling has come down pit road 11 times in his number 82. But Alexander Eriksson down pit road 13 times tonight, running in 7th. Sorry.
This is only our 10th caution.
Well, that's coming down during multiple cautions to fill up, to just refill the car with fuel.
Well, now it's time to play the strategy game. Who's got the right strategy to make this thing happen? As you know, Dennis Scherp on the outside lane with Vilda Whalen right behind him. He's looking to see if the lady can help get him the win in his team's race.
Daniel Sollo has a win this season. Michael Heflidison has a win. Alexander Eriksson has a win. Liesnich does not. Eric Blixt had one taken away from him as the green flag comes out.
Now there's our answer about Vilda. Immediately drops to the low side.
Eriksson, they had a big-time checkup as Liesnich backed off to let Blixt in. Sollo, Heflidison, Blixt, Liesnich, Scherp now battling with Whalen on the inside for 5th.
And he's gonna need more help than he's getting right now from that Bright Esports behind him.
Dennis Scherp right now is the highest running race-sponsored car in that Team Superior group. Another Bright Esports car just jumped up to that outside line. I believe it was, oh no, it wasn't. It was Gunnarsson in the 33.
He's looking to get up there with his Alcantech teammates.
First time we've spoken about Gunnarsson at all, really, since he spun on lap, I think it was like 33, somewhere in there.
Sounds about right.
Right around the midway point of the first stage.
Well, this is definitely going to give the point standings a shake up after tonight, because you take a look where the top three coming into tonight are currently sitting right now. It's going to be a slugfest for the second half of the season.
And we've had so much going on just pre-race, trying to get everything sorted out, trying to get everything ready to go on our end. It's been a while since we've done this, and just making sure we've got everything right, plus trying to get information from a month ago relayed and making sure all that's up to date. We have failed to notice one and mention two. Jesper Eriksson, who's currently second in points right now, is not here.
Yes.
Completely missed that. Top tier quality broadcasting right here on Sim Racing Media, and that's what you get.
That's sarcasm, folks, for those
Yes,
of you
it
who
is.
aren't fluid in the sarcastic language.
That are
Best lap of the race right now, Dan Bloomquist just pulled one out of his
Bloomquist,
29.96. Good grief.
Bloomquist, the back end of that front group. Dennis Scherp getting pushed by Anton Bratberg right now. That's 9th and 10th, leading the second group. Linus Broström in there as well, running in the 71 and 11th.
And what does that lead pack of cars have in common, right?
Well, one, they're being led by 4 Alcantech cars, but they're all running single file on the bottom.
No, they all came down for fresh tires under that last caution.
Yep, you're right. 100% correct.
This is one of those tracks that if I've got tires, give me tires.
Sollo, Haflidason, Blixt, Liesnich, Whalen, your top 5, Arielson, Tier, and Bloomquist at the back end of this group, and they are running away right now from this second pack, led by Dennis Scherp and Anton Bratberg.
And in that grouping of 8, you've got only 3 cars that have a number 15 out.
And I think this group here, this top 8, is going to remain very content with where they are and the way that they are, knowing that they're a second and a half clear and gaining on the next group until a couple of laps to go when that second group can't catch them.
Well, I think it's impressive that we've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 right now. We've got an Audi, a Volvo, a Chevy, and a Volkswagen. This is what NASCAR should really do.
Rumors are that Dodge should be coming back here soon.
That's been quashed.
There you go.
But there is another Japanese brand that's supposed to be coming in. And a European brand that is supposed to be one yet.
Well, that's interesting. So the top 8, pardon me, remaining in line right now on the bottom. Daniel Sollo, the driver, out in front. Sollo, as we mentioned, 1 win on the season. That was back at another Superspeedway-esque racetrack at Michigan. Michael Haflidason, running in second position, has 2 wins on the season. That was at Sonoma and at Homestead. Eric Blixt, as we had mentioned, had the win taken away from him at Bristol. Liesnich, currently 33rd in points. His previous best finish this season is 14th twice. That was at Martinsville and at Bristol.
At this point, you've got to be thinking big picture, as popsicle sticks are in the air as they cross the line this time, 2 laps to go. And, Sollo has had a very solid run here tonight. And Liesnik, be proud of what he's been doing. Plus 26 right now. Second biggest mover of the night, as Ken Tier back in 7th is the biggest mover. But, what Liesnik has been able to do, he's been able to stay out of trouble, and he's getting towards the front. And as the field comes out of turn 4, white flag is in the air, Frank, and we're going into overtime.
Caution is out.
We're going into overtime.
Boy, we were just about to get it, as it looks like Marcus Stiller. Yep, there he is, sideways. That's Eric Lundberg backwards.
Marcus Hagman caught in that as well. Looks like a tale of two Marcus cars.
Daniel Holmer in it as well. We'll see what happened here with Stiller riding on board with him. And that would have been Andre Solander coming up across the nose. It was quite interesting there going into turn 3 on that last lap, just to see everyone wash up the hill. Everyone was holding that bottom, and then just right up the hill they go.
Yep.
Jonas, there's Homer getting in it. Jacob Larson getting hit. Hagman get pinched on that outside. Just looking at Homer, there's the incident. Boy, and that 97 would have been clear had it not been for the 59 coming down.
Incredible.
So that will set up a green-white checkered finish here at a racetrack where a green-white checkered finish could be disastrous.
Well, here's the good news and the bad news. Good news. They're going to have 3 shots at a green-white checkered finish. Bad news. They're giving them 3 shots at a green-white checkered finish.
So this order could look vastly different from how it does right now. Sollo, Haflidason, Blixt, Liesnich, and Whalen, your top 5. As we had noted, there's going to be no race next week as their usual week off before they come back to open up the second half of the season. That will be at the Nashville Superspeedway, a Team Gaia sponsored event. As we were expecting this off week to be filled with the beginning of the IndyCar series for this group. But I could say it.
We just can't show it.
Exactly. So after the news that broke right around Christmas time with iRacing and IndyCar splitting, the Svenska eRacinligan has decided to scrap those plans, and instead, starting in February, we'll be running an LMP2 series that'll go for 6 races on the off week of the Cup Series. So I believe we've got another 3 races. 2 more races at Nashville and then at Charlotte, the Roval at Charlotte, before we go LMP2 racing on, my guess would be the 10th or so, the 9th or 10th of February.
Absolutely. So Dan Sollo going to have the button, and he's in safe hands right now. There's a lot of Alcatech cars up there. Is top 4 are Alcatech. And you got the Gaia Racing number 29 of Villa Whalen, and the Force Esports number 24 of Alex Wilson in 6. So 4 of your top 6 cars, all Alcatech right now, and we're about to find out what's going to happen as Pace Truck is in. Sollo has the trigger, brings him into the Geico restart zone, and we are back underway. Fingers crossed.
Remember, the yellow line rule, or the red and white line rule, no longer applies coming out of turn 4 on the final lap. So there's a lot that we could see. Sollo gets a very big jump. Blixt trying to catch back up. Liesnich trying to catch up to Blixt. Haflidason, though, not slotting down on that inside line. Now he does.
Make sure he had the clear so he didn't take his teammate out.
slide up there from Kenneth Tier in the 49, getting pushed by Linus Broström. Alexander Wilson on the outside.
We are racing back to checkers as Sollo has it Blixt in the rocking chair right now as here comes the 24 Wilson on the top shelf, Frank.
Alexander Arielson getting a great push from Kenneth Tier. Tier getting one from Linus Broström, but they might be too far back. Eric Blixt finished second in the sprint race. Can he come away with the win? Sollo moves up a little bit through 3 and 4, sideways in the back. Pushed away is Sollo. Eric Blixt comes across the line and he will avenge Bristol from a month ago. He will take the win in the Do You Even draft by Superior.
I can guarantee you Dan Sollo is not a happy camper right now.
Well, I'm sure he did get bumped out of the way by the 95 of Blixt. Still came home in second, did the 13 of Sollo. Second place finish in the sprint race put him 22nd on the grid for the race tonight. And comes home with the win in the overall feature race. And I would have to imagine this one will stand Alcantech 1, 2, 3.
We got to make note of the drive from Kenneth Tier in the 49 coming home with the top 5 after starting almost dead shotgun last. Same thing with Martin Liesnik coming home in 6th, plus 24. Oscar Fredrickson also sitting plus 24 in 10th. So Eric Blixt plus 21, not your biggest mover, but definitely will take the race victory over the biggest mover any day.
Full celebration for the Alcantech team, and boy, did they deserve it. They were running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 earlier on in the race. And only one of them could win. And it was Eric Blixt who came away with the win. And while we wait for these guys to jump in, let's take a look and see how this race ended, as we will ride on board with Daniel Sollo coming through turns 3 and 4, down the back straightaway, on board with Sollo. Pushes up a little bit here in 3 and 4. There's Blixt behind. Little bit of a bump right there. Gets another one down through and just never took his foot off the gas. Came home in second, but not by much.
He was even a good guy and he was even a good guy and trimmed the lawn in the dogleg.
Absolutely. We didn't have to worry about that yellow line rule here tonight, as we are about ready for interviews here. Tony, you are with Eric Blixt, or should be. I thought. Now he is.
Eric Blixt, this has got to be vindication for what happened about a month ago back in Bristol.
Yeah, it was a shame we got a win taken away from us. So this is like a real redemption for us. So yeah, it's nice to get that win once for all, even though I kind of hooked Danny, but it seems to be all good.
Well, you kind of chunked it in qualifying, had to go to the sprint race, and talk us through how difficult it was getting through traffic here tonight.
I mean, the most difficult part is like the amount of drafts. Like the close-up speed is so big, and the track is still pretty narrow. So you gotta time it, and it's hard to like make the passes. You almost gotta like stick with a groove and hope that that's the correct one.
Well, you definitely made the right pit call. You made the right strategy call. Lines to be in. We're off for a week this coming week, but we're going to be back at the Nashville Superspeedway. What are your thoughts going into Music City in 2 weeks?
Well, I got a win there last time without any practice at all because I was working too much. So, don't want to have my hopes too high, but it's a track that usually works out for us.
Eric, who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate this victory and sweep of the podium with your team?
Oh, definitely this race is the whole team, and of course Nima Racing, Alcantech, Almentech, and HR Esports. Yeah, pretty much everyone that makes it fun, and all the broadcasts and all the crew.
Eric Blixt, congratulations on getting the win here tonight in Atlanta. We'll see you in 2 weeks in Music City.
Thanks. See ya.
And Frank, I believe you got the man that he bumped out of the way to get that win with you now.
That was a little harsh. I do, though. Daniel Sollo. Daniel, you had to know it's kind of like a super speedway feeling. Hey, I'm out in front, coming out of 4 on the last lap. I don't think I'm going to be at the end. What happened on that last lap?
Yeah, I mean, it's just super speedway things, really. That's all. He pushed me for the win, and everyone would have done the same. And we still got a 1-2-3, so I'm not really mad about it.
How difficult was it with how much narrower this racetrack is compared to Daytona or Talladega, or even compared to its old self, to be as close as you are, having to let off as much as you do through these corners? How difficult is it just to get around this track, let alone be in a position to win at the end?
It's on new tires, it's pretty easy. Like, it's basically the same as Daytona and stuff. But once you start getting some wear and heat into those, it's really sketchy. You have to lift a lot, and sometimes it just gets super tight out of nowhere. But I think just somehow we got really lucky with our fuel strategy there, not pitting on the stage break, and it worked out, I guess. So.
All right, we head in 2 weeks' time we go from a racetrack that should be named a super speedway that isn't, and we go to a track that isn't a super speedway and is named as such, the Nashville Superspeedway. What are your thoughts? Concrete racetrack, tight racing. What are your thoughts going into Nashville?
Nashville has been pretty fun before, so I think it will be a good race, I hope. I have no idea about speed or anything. It's been a while since we've been there, so we'll just hope for another good finish there for the team.
All right. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Of course, my guys at Alcan Tech and Neiman Racing, Almitech and SimLab, and you guys for the great broadcast always, and all the all the league organizers for putting this on.
All right, Daniel, thank you very much, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Tony, that would mean you now have our third place finisher, Michael Heflidison.
Michael Heflidison, all things considered, can't be too disappointed with the podium finish here at one of the tougher tracks we're going to see all season.
No, it's a great result, and I mean, to get a 1, 2, 3, well, almost, since I'm not part of Neiman Racing, since I'm part of Almitech, but still a 1, 2, 3 for Alcantech and HR is a very good result, and I think most of the guys are happy.
I would be happy too if I was a member of Alcantech right now, or if the folks at Alcantech are watching. You know, you guys really put on a show. You had 5 of you up in the front of this piece almost all night long. Was that the team strategy from the get, was to just run together and just see what happens at the end?
I think we never have a strategy, really. We just take it as it comes, really. But luckily, today it worked out fine. We managed to, once it was green for a longer period, we were together and could help each other out, which helped us a lot at the end.
Well, in 2 weeks, you've got plenty of time to practice going into Music City to Nashville Superspeedway. What are your thoughts going into that track that is isn't a super speedway, but is called one anyway?
I have never driven that track, so it will be interesting. I've almost never driven oval until this series started, so every track is a new challenge for me, but I'm ready to take it head first.
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody. It's the same way you get to the Stockholm Open. Practice, practice, practice. Mike, who do you need to thank before we let you loose?
Well, obviously my teammates for the great support today, and obviously AMRT, my sim rig company, for supporting me with an amazing simulator.
Michael Heflidison, congratulations on a podium here in Atlanta. Best of luck to you in 2 weeks in Nashville.
Thank you so much.
And Frank, that puts another one in the books for us, my friend.
Yes, sir, it does. And what a fantastic race coming off of a month-long hiatus because of the Christmas and New Year's break, plus the natural week off. for this series. It has been a long time coming, and we got treated to a very, very good race here at Atlanta tonight.
Absolutely. I don't think we could have asked for a better race. I mean, we saw action all night long, and the carnage, all things considered, the carnage was kept to a bare minimum here tonight. The fact that we only had, I think it was 8 cautions.
Somewhere around there. Most of them being in the first stage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. Everybody was antsy at first. Weren't exactly sure how these cars were really going to handle in that much traffic. And once we got a couple cautions under our belt, everybody seemed to calm down a little bit until it was go time. And, like we saw the final caution fly coming to the white flag on the scheduled end of this piece. But, coming home with a green-white checker, only needing one of them, hats off to the entire Alcantech group right now. That was an amazing run that the entire team had all night. 5 cars at the front of this piece for a good majority of this race.
And also another thing I don't think we've spoken a lot about here at all. We started this race off at 4:30 in sim time. It's getting pretty dark out there, or at least the sun is starting to come down. And this track may have lights, but they do not work on this one. Only the 2008 version of Atlanta do these lights actually work. So if this race had gone too much longer, I think we'd have been racing in the dark. But other than that, we will go to the final results here for tonight's race. Eric Blixt, after getting a win taken away from him at Bristol a month ago, takes the win here, and he will get to keep it. Daniel Sollo, Michael Heflidesen, your top 3 finishers. We've heard from them. Alexander Arildson and Kenneth Tier coming home in the top 5. Martin Liesnich, Linus Brostrom, Vilda Whalen, Daniel Bloomqvist, and Oscar Fredrickson, your top 10. Robert Erling, Dennis Scherp, the first of the superior cars in their home race. They were running in the top 10 for most of the night. They will come home in 12th, and Anton Bradberg right behind him in 13th. Jonas Gunnarsson, Andre Solander rounding out the top 15. Emily Fagerl, Jacob Larson, Bjorn Brostrom, Jonas Skoglund, and Eric Lundberg rounding out your top 20.
Sorry, hold on. I had an issue. Bear with me.
Right, so then it'll be Peter
Timing your scoring just threw up. Jonas Skoglund, Peter Helmborough coming home in 20th. Mikkel Hagstrom, Marcus Hagman, Jochen Wett, Marcus Stiller rounding out your top 25. Tony Oivonen, Jonas Fors, Marcus Stromberg, 26th, 7th, and 8th. And then rounding out your field, you have Dan Holmer, Robert Eriksson, Johan Larson, Philip Brown, Pontius Nielsen, Anton Ullman, Philip Carlin, and Kim Nyholm getting scored in 3-7.
So that right there will do it for us here tonight. Still have plenty of racing action coming up this week. It seems a little bit light around Sim Racing Media right now, but trust me, in the not-so-distant future, it will start to pick up, especially in February and March. We will get back tuned into our 3 races a night in the not-so-distant future here on Sim Racing Media. But for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Thank you very much to Team Superior for sponsoring our race tonight, and we will see you all in 2 weeks in Nashville. Good night, everybody.